All right, guys, here we go.
Lucy, it feels like you're like taking off.
Yeah.
We're picking up some speed now. We're headed towards 3 Gs.
Oh my goodness.
The sound you are hearing is me stuck to the inside of a human centrifuge as part of astronaut training. And I'm sitting next to a 17-year-old girl who spent her life trying to get to space. I've spent a lot of my life trying to get to space camp, and I'm actually here in this moment. Here's what they don't tell you. 3 Gs feels like shit. And when you turn your head, it's as if 3 people sat on top of your head. This is what astronauts would have to go through, or what children who get to go to space camp go through, or what I'm going through in that exact same moment. But I will come clean with you. I love space. And then I found somebody else who shared that exact same passion, and it happened to be the President of the United States. Donald Trump loves space. It might be the only thing we both see eye to eye on, that space is cool and that going to Mars might be fun. This was a little bit conflicting to me, but I do think there's something beautiful about dreaming big and as Americans trying to achieve that dream. So this episode was me trying to look at that idea. Can we make American space great again? Asterisks. The asterisks, all the things I don't agree with Donald Trump on. Today on the podcast, to talk about space and man's need to explore, we've got Bill Nye. But first, come with me as I tell you about my journey making America space again. This is Klepper. Space, the final frontier, and a place America has always come in first. This year, the Chinese were the first to ever land a probe on the far side of the moon. Next, they're planning on building a permanent lunar base and a manned mission to Mars. Meanwhile, what is America doing? They're handing over our rocket keys to a bunch of zany billionaires. I don't like it. I prefer my American icons to be humble government employees with flags on their sleeves, earning minimum wage. I am on a mission to see if space can make America great again. Asterisk. And if it can, what will it look like? I'm here with producer Lucy Lesser, and I'm here with writer Russ Armstrong.
Hello.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Let's talk space, shall we? I'm a bit of a space nerd.
You are obnoxious about space.
Thank you.
Not a compliment.
Well, I'm taking it as such.
Well, I'll take it back.
I'm still keeping it in the edit.
I feel like between First Man, I think you recently reread The Right Stuff, that Tom Wolfe, and then watched a limited release documentary that I don't know anyone else who had seen it. I don't know how you found it.
Apollo 11.
Apollo 11 it was a documentary, and it was built entirely from archival footage.
It's amazing. Yep, and they released it at IMAX for a week. And I believe they're re-releasing it when on the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11, the moon mission.
Which is this year, 2019, which is very exciting. This is all to say you are an incredible space nerd and would constantly walk into the office in the morning just before anyone had asked you anything or any business has gotten done, you would just immediately begin rambling about a lunar lander and how incredible it was and the exceptionalism and the amount of like guts that it took to just get inside these tin cans and fire yourself up to the moon and how many people just died in pursuit of this incredible goal. And then I think eventually we were like, we gotta channel this energy into something. let's let him do a space episode. But it was cool. That was like a little bit of the origin of it.
I loved space so much as a kid. You know, I went to Cape Canaveral. We went to DC and Florida were the only 2 places we went to as a kid for vacation.
And you would drive there from Michigan.
Oh, yes. And
that's to drive to Cape Canaveral from Michigan, whether it was Cape Canaveral or just a parking lot, the buildup of that as a child must have been like, yes, of course I'm going to fall in love with this parking lot. We've been in a station wagon for 96 hours from Kalamazoo, Michigan.
That's how, it's all about the preamble, Yeah, let's just build to it. So I loved Cape Canaveral. I love space. And we talk about this in the episode, but it was in 2019, there are so many things that are depressing. There's so many things that feel like they break your spirit. And I think it was a reconnection with that sense of wonder that it was like, oh, I'm hearing stories of like grandeur and of accomplishment that are like beyond imagination. It was like, oh, if I could boil that down to 22-minute television, I think I will have landed on the moon.
This 22 minutes of cable was your moon landing.
Exactly. Yes. I think so.
Yes.
Lucy, how'd you feel? This were you as gung-ho as I was to begin with?
No.
Shame.
I was like, oh, let's do some stuff about like, equality and politics.
Okay,
and,
now to be fair, we have
Eight
done
episodes.
we have 8 episodes.
No, I know.
We have 8 episodes and we have dealt with a lot of big issues.
We have. And then I was like, space is the biggest issue, right?
Sure.
In size.
It's
Yeah.
actually not an issue. There are no issues in space. Just want to be clear.
In space,
It's the
nobody-
lack of
in space,
issues
nobody will hear your
that-
issues.
Yes, exactly.
I quickly got on the nerd train.
Thank you.
Yeah. Once we started talking, I have not read The Right Stuff. I've heard you talk about reading it. I feel like I,
absorb
by
it,
extension,
yes.
absorbed it.
Great.
Yeah,
That's
felt
how-
good
You're-
about
You're
it.
like an
Yeah.
audiobook that no one
Yeah.
hit play on.
Again, thank you.
But I like the idea of coming to a story where we could be like, oh, here's something patriotic that we can all get behind, no matter what party you're in, no matter what you believe in. Like, oh, this is something that's really cool.
Yeah.
And like pushing boundaries and like going further and extending, and real science, right?
Yeah.
Bringing that back in.
Yeah. Well, I think it was a funny, as we started talking about this, we found that, the president, he started Space Force, but also, and what was coming out was the story that he actually wanted to fund NASA to get to Mars by the end of his term, which
He wanted
is...
to give a bottomless pit of money to
Yeah.
NASA to go to Mars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is just amazing to think of the way this man's mind works, where he's like, you know what? If I could get to Mars, nobody could say shit. Or it's like that, and he's probably right.
Yeah.
If he could be like, okay, I started a race war, but also who up on the red thing? We up on the red thing now. What are you gonna say? I'm like, all right, man, I'll vote for you.
Yeah, all right,
Yeah,
that's
you
the
guys
Mars
to Mars.
guy.
Yeah, that's the Mars guy now.
It felt like a funny alignment of oh man, this guy, he might stumble on something that actually a lot of people might get behind, could actually have scientific benefits that if you point a guy and his ego towards something that might have a fallout that helps other people on the way, oh my God.
Make America great again? With caveats?
There are definitely caveats. A lot of them.
So you have to take it all into account. I know, but did you read the whole shirt?
I'm not with that.
Now let me clarify the shirt. There's the asterisk. While I believe space exploration can make America great again, I do not endorse the president's views on the following: race, economic policy, religion, science, history, education, basic math, trade, foreign affairs, domestic affairs, common decency, validity of the 2016 popular election.
You're full of shit.
I'm not.
You're full of shit
I'm
and
not.
You know what you're doing. Excuse me.
I'm talking about. It's just the space thing. I want us to aim for space. It's the rest of the stuff that I'm. Well, have a good day. I feel like an asshole.
It's the perfect storm for the left, where if you look back at the Apollo program, there was a lot of people who would say it's crazy. You would have to be crazy to think that you could do this incredible accomplishment, while everyone on the left is trying to study every bit of his expressions, be like, well, technically I think he is crazy. Then you might say, well, then he's perfectly qualified to get us to Mars. This is how we got to the moon.
It might be a crazy idea, right? But it might be so crazy it works.
Yeah.
So I think we wanted to do something around this, and I think you started looking for stories. What was a way in?
I was told that people had been reaching out to a Mars habitat in Utah, which is a part of Utah I'd actually been to before for another shoot.
Really?
Yes. I went treasure hunting down there, and it was the worst place I had ever been. Trust me, you would not have wanted to go to this part of Utah at all. There is no cell service for hours. It's in the middle of nothing, nowhere. It was not a good time when I was there.
And this was where a Mars habitat was.
Yes.
Because we were at that point looking for what feels like the big story of right now. And we're hearing stories of Elon Musk, of Bezos investing in this idea of, can we get to Mars? Trump is talking about it. So we're like, where do we?
Who's working on this?
Who's working on it, and what can we show? So it's
Yeah.
not just in theory.
And it's cool. It definitely looks cool, but it's so much cooler if you could go do that in Hawaii.
Yeah, and from a producer's perspective, you're often looking at what is the story, but also where is the story?
Where is it when we're filming in February?
Yes.
Yeah.
And at that point, this is at the end of our filming, and we're all kind of like, oh, a Hawaii story? I'm listening.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. About space? I get to talk to an astronaut, go to Hawaii? This feels like the story to tell.
So I had found this other Mars habitat on the site of an active volcano in Hawaii that is owned by an eccentric rich guy who wants to create life on other planets, like every other rich guy, actually.
And the rich guys are leading this space race, or in conjunction with NASA. But you see Musk, you see Bezos, you see Branson. They all have their own private space program. They're funding this idea of potentially going to Mars, potentially going to the moon. So we were looking at this, and Hank Rogers is a fascinating character.
Yeah.
Not only is
He's actually, I think, the world's most interesting man, possibly.
he could be.
Yeah.
Because he made his money bringing Tetris to America.
He did the first, I think, intellectual property deal with the USSR ever, and brought Tetris to America. Still owns the name Tetris. And that was just the first fortune he made.
Right.
Yeah.
He used that to continue to invest, to make fortunes elsewhere.
Yes.
He was in the video game world. He's expanded. Now he's in the clean energy game as well. And this episode didn't get to talk a lot about this, but he gave us a good almost day showing us around.
Yeah.
And he is working on a lot of things, attempting to get Hawaii to go green, investing in a lot of technology. So he's doing a lot of interesting things.
To finally get coal spewing Hawaii to go green.
Oh, fun, yeah. Think a little bit about nature, Hawaii.
West Virginia and Hawaii.
So he lives there partially because it's beautiful, but there's also essentially a habitat that is on the side of a volcano that is incredibly remote, that is arguably as close to what it would feel like to land on Mars as you could find on the planet. And they've been running for years. It was owned by NASA, and then Hank...
He owns it.
He owns it now.
I've figured out my missions in life. First one is end the use of carbon-based fuel. Mission number 2 is to end war. And space is the third mission, and it's to make a backup of life on Earth.
I love that number 2 on that list is end war. When you say make a backup, what does that mean?
It means get life started somewhere else in a way that it's self-sustaining. I'm in the computer game business, or I was. You make backups. 65 million years ago, the dinosaurs went away. Why? Because they were too stupid to make a backup.
You're blaming dinosaurs for not downloading their entire existence onto a little hard drive and saving it?
I'm saying that we are as dumb as the dinosaurs if we don't make a backup.
You got Bezos, you got Musk, you got Branson, they're all working on something. What do you got going on?
Yeah, so all these guys are working on building airplanes, and I'm working on building airports. That's the way I look at it. You can't have an airplane without an airport.
Musk is building that big plane. You're like...
I'm saying, I'm going to build you the landing pad.
This is your big dream, to build a LaGuardia in the sky. And how much is a bottle of water going to cost?
We're sort of delving into this idea of, do you have to be a little crazy? And there's also a privilege in crazy.
Yeah.
Do you have to have that much money where you can be like, I can do anything. I say this and it is done.
Yeah.
And you say that and there's an entire team behind you that is like, all right, now we have to make this happen. But is that the kind of crazy that gets you to space and gets you to the moon or to create a habitat? Maybe.
Yeah. Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Based on the fact that there was a Mars simulation colony in Utah and on the top of a volcano in Hawaii, how much of the qualifications for a Mars simulation space do you think just has to do with the fact that the rocks need to be red? I feel like it's nearly 90%.
I would
feel
say
like that's
90 to
all they're looking
92%,
at.
definitely.
it's
Yeah.
Because they're like,
Yeah.
well, why is this a perfect simulation? We're like, I don't know, man. It's red.
It's red rocks.
Like, there's red rocks. When people get to Mars, they're going to freak out if they're like, oh, red rocks. We haven't trained for this. Holy moly. What is this? Oh, I'm going space crazy. You're taking off my helmet.
Oh, what are you doing?
My eyes are popping out.
They need to train under the correct conditions of
Like
red
a dumb
rocks.
bull in space. It's so red. I'm crazy.
So much of it is plain pretend, is what we realize.
Yes.
Where you're like, even we're in this habitat, and like you put on a mask, you go through this, you have to make sure you close this door, open that door, give it time, and like you're doing it, and I would get chided for leaving doors open or what have you, which I get, but also there's a point where you're like, we're just playing pretend up here,
Yeah.
and I know you are incredibly, you are an incredible scientist, and you are thinking about the future of humanity, but it doesn't fucking matter if our camera guy leaves the door open because he needs to get this shot. He's gonna be fine because we're on Hawaii, not on Mars.
Ready to go to the surface of Mars?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, do you want to do the honors?
Is it locked or...
And now unlock it, yeah. All right.
Ladies first?
Thank you. Don't forget to close the airlock door.
Oh, sorry. My bad. We got to close the airlock door. Everybody's dead.
Do you want to introduce Michaela? I feel like she was...
Michaela Musilova, she's the mission commander at the habitat. It's called High Seas.
High Seas.
And she is a astrobiologist. So her ultimate goal, I guess, is to go and explore and find life on other planets. And she's been with Hank for a few years. She was actually supposed to be in a year-long mission at the habitat, and there was an accident there.
on like day 2, right?
Yeah, and they canceled the whole year-long mission.
Which, that's tough.
I know.
Yeah.
That's like a cruise ship and somebody ruins the bathroom right in port.
It's right off. It's before you get off.
You're still waving to people on shore and the bathroom is destroyed and then you have to get towed back and sue Carnival.
Well, I guess she kind of stuck around.
She did. She was like, I had a year blocked off in my schedule, and okay, well, I'll focus on the next one then.
And so they've been in the process of kind of like making it a Mars and Moon habitat, which I'm still a little unclear on how I don't know if they have to paint all the rocks.
Are the wrong color.
Well, that is the funny thing because it was mostly Mars focused, and what you are testing is remoteness. It's a facility that's essentially going to lock you away for a long period of time, and it has functionality that can simulate Mars or the Moon. And there's a mission control that you communicate to. And I think part of the things that shift between Mars and Moon is quite literally how often you have to wait in between communications.
That's hilarious that like they're seeing if human beings in 2019 can wait up to 15 minutes to receive a text back.
You're like
it's just going to be ... until a planet circles around the sun and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, like
please, what's the answer? Or what are we getting for dinner? Oh my God.
Yeah, the cheaper simulation is sitting in front of a computer with like the pinwheel ghost. And it's like, is that guy going to go crazy? 8 months or this? It's like, I got dial-up. Oh no, I got dial-up. I can't handle this. I'm going to eat you. I'm going to eat that person.
I got to eat him. Why is your first resort cannibalism? Yeah. We have plenty of food.
So they test important things like that.
So at the very beginning, most people don't know each other that well. I mean, you will go through training together, but there might not be really time to just sit around and chat. And you can't exactly do it over beers here, unfortunately, but
there's no alcohol?
No alcohol, no drugs of any sort are allowed. Games are always fun, different types of icebreakers. If
Games
something
without alcohol?
Yes. One thing we did is we organized culture nights. Different person would present their country, their traditions, things like that.
You want to trap them into friendship?
Encourage them into friendship, not
whatever you want to call it.
We were looking not only at like what would it take to actually get to Mars, and I think there's the incredible achievements of engineering that it would take, a country coming together to like, can you scientifically get there? But we wanted to also look at like what would it take for a human to actually be the kind of person who would go there. And that was The Right Stuff was a really interesting story in the sense that like the Apollo missions up until that point they were taking fighter pilots. These were pilots. They were if you can fly an F-14 you're gonna pilot this giant
I remember
ship.
the last time you told me.
Let me tell you a little bit more. And what's so fascinating is at the time they didn't see themselves as pilots. They saw themselves as trained monkeys essentially. And so it was something where it was like, are we really using pilots up there? Are we just sending these people? Like, is there honor in just being a person who's in a tin can? And then that began to evolve, and you're breaking scientists, you're bringing up other types of people. So what does it take do you need a military person, or you need a person who's just like really good at talking to people?
Right, and the question that is asked historically is, do you have the correct attributes?
Right stuff. It's the right stuff. Yeah, historically people ask, do you have
the absolute
right
correct
stuff?
attributes?
No, this is I gave you the book to read, Russ. I really think you should just take a look at it.
Jordan, you are 6'1"?
Oh yeah.
4.
6'4".
4'1"?
6'4".
So Jordan is a tall person. Me and Lucy are about 6 feet.
Yeah.
And I thought this was sort of the tragic element of this entire episode. For all your childhood dreams, I think you were DQ'd from ever being an astronaut by the age of like 11.
Yeah, I became.
You grew out of astronaut.
I grew out of astronaut into can he play like in the ABA? And then it's like that's what happens. Yeah. It's like you astronaut and then ABA, and then no, I don't have the skill set for either. Which I felt you take also that body, and we went to space camp.
Yeah,
and space camp has a few simulations. Space camp has got. I always wanted to go to space camp. And it's an amazing complex. They have a 3G simulator. They have a gyroscope.
Yeah. Both of which made for much shorter people.
Yes, made for not only small astronauts but children, and so To be quite honest, I didn't fit or do well in any of those simulations.
When we put you in the gyroscope, actually, the first time, you were way too tall to fit in it.
Yeah.
And they're like, is this safe? And they're like, just slouch a little.
Yeah, they
Just
literally
slouch.
said just
Yeah.
slouch a little. Like, this is like, wait, what, slouch a little?
Yeah.
And then they whip your body around.
And I was like, oh God, he's going to break his neck.
oh my God.
Or throw up.
Yep, yes, and lower back issues. Like, it does not feel good.
The centrifuge simulates the environment that a fighter pilot or an astronaut may experience during flight. And it can reach up to 3.2 Gs, that's 3 times your body weight,
So it's like if I had 3 clones bullying me and sitting on top of me at once.
basically. Here we go.
Lucy, it feels like you're like taking off.
Yeah.
We're picking up some speed now. We're headed towards 3 Gs.
Oh my goodness.
I tried to play it cool. It was not the best interview I've ever done. What are some of the personal issues you'll have to deal with extended space flight? I felt like I was choking down vomit most of the time during that interview, which is a unique sensation. I mean, I've had that a few times talking to folks from the NRA, but that was for totally different reasons.
Their big fix is like,
Yeah.
oh, I know exactly what you need. You should chew on some mints. And so they give me a bunch of mints to
Yeah.
chew on. And then you were like, well, maybe sit in the car.
Yeah.
And I literally go to the car and I just lie down in the car and eat mints for 45 minutes until we have to go film again.
Until your heartburn kicks up.
But the second thing they put you on, the gyroscope, was not supposed to make you nauseous.
Yes.
They said it was just supposed to disorient you.
Yeah.
That seems like a very, very classy distinction.
Yes.
Oh, no.
No.
You won't be nauseous at all. You'll just
be
be
disoriented.
completely
Yeah.
disoriented.
Yeah. And this is a place where children go. Which
Yeah.
I'm like, what are we doing to our children?
There were kids, like 150 kids screaming in the next room who
Yes.
had all ostensibly just done this thing.
Well, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know if that's exactly true. What I was doing, I think, was the
children
more
had achieved it.
advanced
Yeah.
person.
No, when I was there the day before scouting, there was like 25 8-year-olds.
But then they turned on the
Yeah.
adult settings for when I did it, and
Yeah.
that was the experience that I had. The adult experience of going to space.
Which I think is a dampener on that machine.
No,
actually.
I think no.
Yeah.
I did exactly what John Glenn did. That's exactly what I did. I almost did throw up. I was with Alyssa, and Alyssa is incredible. She's 17 right now.
17.
She's been training to be an astronaut since she was
She wanted to be an astronaut since she was 3.
3.
Yeah.
And quite literally, like, she's been to space camp numerous times, has flown all over the world to accumulate the type of resume that could make her an astronaut.
You want to go to Mars?
Pretty much, yeah. Mars is the ultimate goal.
You've already thought all this through.
Yeah, got it all laid out when I'm gonna do what. So getting my scuba certification. I'm also working on my pilot's license to get some flight experience. Microgravity training, spacesuit training, water survival, decompression, G-force, geology training in Iceland. I can speak 4 languages, English, French, Spanish, and Chinese. I have my applied astronautics degree, so that was basically a certification for suborbital spaceflight.
You're certified for suborbital spaceflight.
Correct.
I didn't even know you needed a passport to go to Italy. Wow.
It's kind of important.
She's qualified for suborbital flight.
Exactly, which that's a qualification I didn't know you could get, let alone at 17.
No, I don't know what that is on your license. I'm an organ donor.
No, I still don't have the guts to be an organ donor. Like, I don't know.
And didn't we learn that you have to get your kidneys taken out or something if you're going to go on a long space voyage?
It's
Tonsils and gallbladder.
And then a little lift.
Yeah.
and it's just, you want to like.
Slightly.
And the no gravity gives you a little bit of that too. So
Well, that is the idea. It's the idea if you go on a Mars mission, which could be a 3-year round trip situation, you have to minimize any potential health risks because what are you going to do? And so things like that, it's like, well, if you can just lose your gallbladder, then you're not going to have any gallbladder problems a month and a half in. And I know there was talk that she was considering that.
yeah.
Either way, that's far
She
enough.
said she would
said-
if approached to. Yeah.
First of all, if you're listening right now and you are
Yeah.
approached by someone who asks you to remove your gallbladder, get a second opinion.
Yeah, make sure you see a really official looking NASA patch on them
need
before
it.
you schedule it.
I would even go one step farther.
Just the patch is good enough. Jordan, if because you would have to amputate or take off parts of your body that could potentially go south while in space. You have a foot problem. I think you might be the
Yeah.
first peg leg astronaut. you would have to take that foot off for sure.
I 100% would. As loyal listeners of this podcast and or viewers of any of the things I've done on television, you probably know that I have weak bones and I have brittle feet.
Peanut brittle feet. Shatter pretty quickly. Good on the holidays.
I believe, Russ, it was you that said maybe my desire to get into space was just to take a little pressure off my foot. And I don't think it's totally wrong.
And you did like being in the sling when we were at space camp, and
Yes.
you had no pressure on your feet. You were very happy about that.
There's a sling portion,
Yeah.
which again, when you feel like you're playing pretend and you're in a sling with a 17-year-old space camp and you're just hanging above it, you're like, am I telling an important story or am I just in a sling right now? And the answer is an important story. It's still an important story.
So the sling and not the sparkly spacesuit was what made you question everything.
I am remembering I was in a sparkly spacesuit at that point. At that point, you're doing a comedy show when your costume designer is like, do you want a David Bowie type Starman outfit? And you're like, yeah.
No,
That's how
that came from you.
that's not how, I don't remember
Yeah,
that.
you were like, Bowie? Everybody loves Bowie. I want to dress up as Bowie. I want to do the makeup. And I was like, well, we don't have any makeup. I want to do the makeup.
I thought artistically it'd be right if we were going to go Bowie and we're going Ziggy Stardust, you have to do the makeup.
No, I know.
I'm a man
I
of
tried
it.
to get you to ditch it a few
You did.
Do you get the reference?
Like spaceman? Is that a thing?
I'd say more Starman. If you're gonna see if there's life on Mars, I think this is the way to do it.
You see this childish excitement about science, and we go to space camp, and we see people, and we see Alyssa, who is inspiring about how much she cares about actually doing something great, and I think that was really fun to see. Seeing Hank, who is a character and a half, like you see dreamers. Essentially, what we were watching is like a bunch of dreamers in Hawaii, a bunch of dreamers who all think kind of this big, impossible dream. And I think when you're down in Houston at Space Camp, and that's when we met Scott Kelly as well, like you see that dream is not as far off as you might think. You're literally watching space shuttles, you're walking underneath rockets, and I think like it's both, it feels both ludicrous and remarkably tangible at the same time.
I think that's actually how I felt about Hank overall. Just, I feel like he really switched in between being like really crazy and out there and then also kind of legit.
Yeah.
A theme that underlaid the episode. Maybe it doesn't surface in the cut, but I think it's there. Part of the breath of fresh air that looking at something like space was, there's a scene where Alyssa describes sort of her plan. She's 17. She says, I'm going to be an astronaut when I'm like around 30, 32. And she had sort of given this long, drawn-out, step-by-step incremental building of here's how I'm going to get from where I am now to where I want to be over years. And I think we had all had various different conversations about this piece throughout, about like we live in a time very much where it's like, what happened this second? How can I respond to that and kill that thing this second? How can I amplify this thing this second? And there's not a lot of long-term thinking at all. And to see people, whether they're scientists or whether they're 17-year-old like pre-astronauts, thinking all the way this far in advance to do something great feels like such a breath of fresh air. Like someone opened up a window and you're like, oh, right. If we can step out of these important, but sometimes like almost intractable battles, we can find some other avenues where we can really dream big and really go for something and do something impressive together on a grand scale that doesn't have to be just as small as a tweet or as small as a soundbite or as small as some little culture war.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it is funny. It feels so novel, this idea of like pre-planning in a way that like it feels so remarkably refreshing to be like, oh, you have a 10-year plan, and that was a lot of the discussions we had.
This is when we fell in love with China.
I know, exactly. Like, oh my Lord. Not to go on another tangent here, but like we talked about that book, The Fifth Risk by Michael Lewis, which talks a lot about like American institutions and how there isn't a lot of forward planning, or at least specifically with this administration, that like things like the State Department, like smaller departments they're behemoths to move, but you have to think 10 years in advance.
Right.
If you don't, things fall through the cracks and people die. We don't validate long-term thinkers right now. We live such in the moment. I think this was like an example to hear those stories and get day drunk with an astronaut.
That was the best part.
And this is Kelly when you guys were in Houston.
Yes.
This is astronaut Scott Kelly, who spent over 500 days in orbit. One of the longest ever for an American astronaut. So much so, like, because he does have a twin brother,
Yes.
Mark Kelly, who's running for Senate in Arizona. He stayed home. He's also an astronaut, but because they are identical twins, they were testing the effects of zero gravity on a body. And I believe his DNA did officially change. He became a science experiment, a different person because he was in space for a full year. We were in Houston.
Yeah.
We wanted to talk to an astronaut about his firsthand experience. And you called him up.
I called him up, and we could have gone to this museum, but I knew it was going to be like overrun by children all day. And I was like, oh, well, we could go to a bar. And I was like, I hope he would say yes to that. And then I called him, and he was like, oh, yeah, there's an astronaut bar literally up the street. It's where all the astronauts hang out. It's called Boondoggles. I was like, Boondoggles. All right.
I love that there's an astronaut bar.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's in your dreams, right?
Yeah.
Now, in the right stuff, there is a bar that a lot of them go to. It is true, all right? It's a famous bar. It's no longer there. Anyway, Boondoggles is the one now.
Oh, the other one burnt down.
It did. The other one burnt down. And I mean, what's so funny with everything, it's like, you expect, I'm like, what is this astronaut bar going to look like? It's going to be rough and tumble. There's going to be old astronauts in the corner with like 5 o'clock shadows.
It's going to be
with
like
old
Mos
war
Eisley
stories.
Cantina.
Yeah. And in the end, it's like a fun Irish bar.
It was in an alley, though, like in the back. It wasn't something like you would see.
Yes.
There was like a river behind it or like a little jetty.
It was very pretty in the back. It's by Johnson
Yeah.
Space Center,
Yeah.
essentially. And so like anything.
But you kind of have to know where it is, I think, to know where to go.
But I
It's
think
not-
functionally, the reason it's an astronaut bar is because it is close to Johnson Space Center, which is what I think,
Yes.
like, for everybody, when you dream, you're like, what is the place? It's like, oh, it's the easiest place to get booze. And Johnson Space Center is in Houston, but it's so not in Houston.
No.
But he was like, this is where we go. And actually,
Yeah.
A lot of people from NASA go, and we sit down and we order a space dust.
Yes, which is a very high percentage IPA.
Yeah, and it's 11 a.m.
It is
In breakfast. These guys are 3 beers in at breakfast.
like an 8% IPA.
What Scott's he's an IPA guy.
Yeah.
He likes it hoppy.
Yeah.
I like it hoppy
Yeah.
as well. I've always dreamed of being an astronaut and want to be inspired by the grandeur of space travel and also get day drunk with a spaceman. Thank you.
Space dust number 2.
That's right.
Hoppy enough for
It's
you?
hoppy. I like it.
Yeah.
What does American exceptionalism mean to you in light of our space program?
Well, I think having a space program that is robust, a space program that is visible to the world and the public is part of the American brand. I think if we don't maintain it, it would be a disaster of a mistake because of how the world looks up to this country. When China lands something on the far side of the moon, that makes us, sit back and think, hey, should we be doing a little bit more? Maybe.
Here's the funny addendum to it all. Like, I felt pretty cool. Honestly, getting to sit down and have beers with an astronaut made me feel very cool, very virile, very on top of the world. Like a guy that I came home the next day and I bragged about, like, this is what I do. I day drink with astronauts because I'm a man. And then my foot hurt the next day and I went to the podiatrist and he told me I have gout.
Space Scout.
Yeah.
But there with honestly, it was so we're drinking, and I think what we wanted to honestly with this show, like I think wherever it can be experiential, and I think the focus of this was like we don't want to just have a classic interview. Like let's talk and let's make it casual. And I think like Scott is wonderful and had such a unique experience. But something that I totally got out of that interview and loved about it is like sitting down and having somebody tell you what that experience of being in space, step by step is. And I think we read a lot about a thing called the overview effect, which is this idea that if you go to space and you look back upon the Earth, like it does change your frame of mind and your frame of reference. And there have been known effects of literally people seeing the planet as fragile and small can affect things like the way in which we treat the climate. And there has been like Earth Day came out of that, and like Green Deals have come out of the fact that the Earth has been something that people can tangibly see. But to hear an astronaut talk about what that experience is like to step out, and like I found myself turning into a kid again. Like even watching like the tape of it as we come back, like there is nothing more engaging to me.
Also, his kind of like curmudgeonly side on top of that.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't like, it was majestic.
Right.
Like he was like, yeah, it was hard to open that freaking hatch. And then when I got out there, I looked up, it was amazing, and then I just went and did my work.
Like, he gave as much time to answering my questions about the beauty of Earth as he did to how difficult it is to defecate in space.
Yes. There was a lot of that.
Yeah, so there's you understand.
Too much, Lizzie?
No, I was more interested in the peeing in space, to be honest. Yeah.
It does ask bigger questions.
He told us about peeing upside down
Yeah.
in space, and being worried he's going to piss on his own face, but gravity came to, not the lack of gravity came to the rescue.
It's a worry that
It
we
was
all have.
majestic, yeah.
It was majestic. I am here with Bill Nye. Bill, welcome.
Thank you, Jordan. So good to be. It really is great to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here. You have a fantastic new podcast out called Science Rules.
Yes.
I want to talk to you about something close to my heart.
Your buttons.
It is my buttons. Okay.
Your wristwatch.
I forget. This is you're a man who notices everything. You understand.
Not everything, but I saw the buttons on the shirt. Not that I have tremendous respect for you as a person, but it's not really my thing.
That's fair. I think we would hit it off. I want to talk about space.
That's my thing. That is my thing.
It's an exciting thing. So I did this whole season of doing a show. I go out into America. I've covered a lot of movements, a lot of actions, and we hit a point where they're like, "What is something where I can drop any cynicism?" Because when you go out into the world, there's a lot of cynicism. There's a lot of fighting.
There is. Oh,
yes.
right.
Yeah. And what I found was where I'm not cynical and I still have this sense of wonder is it's still based in my childhood desire to go to space and then America goes to be an astronaut. And I got to talk to a lot of people about this. And the big question was, are we going to go to Mars?
That is a good question.
What do you think? Are we going to go to Mars?
So we at the Planetary Society, world's largest independent space interest organization, did a study. We could get people orbiting Mars in 2033 without increasing the NASA budget if you just decided to do it. And the best or cheapest way to do it would be to have what we call international cooperation, where one country builds this, the other country builds, or one agency builds this, the other agency builds that. And you could do it, but it takes overcoming this tremendous inertia in every presidential administration. See, what people lose sight of, and the Apollo 11 film is out, the new documentary.
It's amazing.
It's cool. It really is gorgeous. I mean, it's amazing. It's just beautiful.
It looks like it was filmed by Stanley Kubrick. It's so gorgeous how
so that's an interesting thing, not changing the subject. 2001, if you're picking science fiction movies, came the closest anybody's ever come. But that aside, what people forget, reckoned in 2019 dollars, the Apollo program cost about $151 billion with a B. So when you say we're going to increase the NASA budget from $21 billion to $22.6 billion, that's good, but it's not on the same scale. And then people say, well, we have all these launch pads built and all this infrastructure, 10 NASA centers around the country, but it's just not the same. The scale of it's a factor of 6 that we're missing.
Should we invest that much into the space program? Is the idea of going to Mars, do you think that would have the benefits that, say, Apollo 11 had?
Well, everybody remember, the Apollo program was the Cold War. That's what motivated it. You can say, well, it's for science, for exploration, for humankind has the desire to reach farther and deeper into space and to know the cosmos, which is true. But it was to beat the Ruskies, at that time, our enemies. Our enemy.
Yeah, as opposed to our collaborators.
Yes, yeah, and our election ballot correctors. And so the scale of it is what I think a lot of people lose sight of. A 5% increase in the NASA budget is great. And NASA's not the only game in town. By in town, I mean on Earth. European Space Agency is quite large. Canadians have a space agency. Vietnam has a space agency. South Africa has a space agency because everybody realizes the value of weather prediction, situational awareness, aka spying, and communications, where you can broadcast or send information from one side of your country to the other. It's of great value. Space exploration has changed the world. And there are 2 questions, Jordan, that we all ask.
Give them to me.
Where did we come from?
I've asked it.
Where did we come? What the heck are we doing? And then, are we alone? Are we alone in the universe?
Do you think we get that if we go to Mars?
Well, here's what is very reasonable, is Mars had something alive, and it may still, because Mars is smaller than the Earth, so out there in the icy blackness of space, it cooled off faster than the Earth, about 1 billion years sooner than the Earth. You can get something done in 1 billion years, all I'm saying. And it had an atmosphere and an ocean before the Earth. Did life start on Mars before it started on Earth? Maybe, who knows? And so there's a hypothesis, which is fantastic, that Mars was hit with an impactor.
A dinosaur? Is that like a raptor of sorts?
Well, no, like asteroid.
Oh, like Armageddon again.
Yes.
Again, one of the most scientifically accurate film you're ever
Yes.
going to see.
And then, through a Hohmann orbit, these things came to Earth. You can buy Mars rocks online if you're motivated.
And they're actual Mars rocks?
Yeah,
you don't fall for this, Bill.
No. They land on Earth. No. So you look at the composition and the shock pattern in the rock, and then the other thing, you take it to Huntsville, Alabama, crack it open in a vacuum, and the little bubbles of gas come out that match the Martian atmosphere. So these are Mars rocks. And there's an area, I've not been, but in Antarctica, people call the budget space probe, because you're walking along dressed warmly, and there are rocks on top of the ice. Now, the ice is kilometers, miles thick. The only way for the rocks to get there is from space. So the Earth is hit with several, I guess estimates vary, 100,000 tons of dust every day, of interstellar dust, of asteroid bits. And so if life started on Mars, are we descendants of Martians? Is a cool question, a fantastic question.
That's a fun question.
It really is. So we could send, now I'm at the Planetary Society. I took a class from Carl Sagan. I understand that I was brought up with this tradition, but I would like us to design robots, rovers, perfectly tuned for looking for Martian microbes. And the Mars 2020 rover, which doesn't have a whimsical or charming, engaging name yet, has instruments on it that will advance this a little bit. But I like to have a focused effort. The reason to send people is, first of all, it's just cool. It's just inspirational. The Soviet Union was driving around on the moon trying to bring moon rocks back before humans did. But when you get people there, that's when everybody goes wild. And so it's also estimated, just technically, that what our best rovers, our best science instruments, robotic science instruments on Mars can do in a week, a human geologist could do in about a minute, or certainly less than 5 minutes.
Why is that? Just because the human instinct is going to know what to look for, essentially?
And actually literally move quicker and don't have this remote problem of a 7-minute radio delay. So you put in artificial intelligence to have it drive around rocks and stuff, but looking for rocks and knocking them open and finding out what's inside, a human just has judgment. So it would just be something else to find a layer of fossilized bacteria on Mars, or Mars probes, as I like to call them. And what if there's something still alive under the sand? Wherever there's dampness on Earth, there's something alive. People throw around numbers. There's 1 million viruses on your face. And so
those are the worst people, by the way.
Well, we have immune systems for most of them. So it would really be extraordinary. And I claim it would change the course of history. It would be like Copernicus showing, well, if you really are proving that if you really want to find where Jupiter is in the night sky, you ought to think of Jupiter going around the sun, not the other way around. And, oh, no, we can't publish that. We'd have to kill you. And then Galileo, I took this military telescope, which they had for looking at the guys on the other hill before you shot your arrows at them or whatever your Game of Thrones thing you were doing. But he took it and looked at the moon. Hey, the moon's not really a perfect circle. It's full of, you can't leave the house for the rest of your life. Okay. But it changed the world. It changed the way everybody thought about being alive. And I claim that a discovery of life on Mars would just change the world. The other logical places are Europa, the moon of Jupiter, with twice as much ocean water as Earth, and then Titan, this moon of Saturn, which has great promise. It has geysers that squirt into space. And so this kind of exploration is done for a song. Planetary science at NASA is $2 billion a year, 2-point-something billion dollars a year. That's a lot of money, but it's not that much money. At European Space Agency, it's a third of that or a tenth of that. It's still a huge amount of money, but compared to what the federal budget is, or a European 16-country budget is nothing. And it could change the course of history. So that's what we advocate for at the Planetary Society.
What do you think? So, as I'm somebody who's not the largest fan of our commander-in-chief.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, I've heard you mention that.
He's done some things. He might not be the best president we've ever had. Now,
really?
I don't. That's a outlandish opinion that a comedian has. But I'm not a big Trump fan. One thing he did say, which was comical in its assertion, but I was inspired by it, was he talked about going to Mars as a vanity project. And he said he would throw as much money as anybody needed to get there if we could get there before the next election, which is fast.
He wanted to go to the moon.
He wanted to go to the moon
4.5 years.
Yes.
All right. And so, by the way, out there in the world of space explorers, there's moon people and Mars people. We must go to the moon to learn to live in space. It's a proving ground. And then other people, you don't need to go to the moon. Let's go to Mars. We waste time at the moon. The moon has a lot of gravity. So if you land on the moon, you have to build a big rocket to get back off the moon, blah, blah, blah.
And are those two separate camps?
They really are, yeah. Fist fights in the exploration bar. Yeah. But going to the moon in 4.5 years sounds like a cool thing. And, it would mean ignoring spending caps, which Congress has been more than willing to do. So, okay, but they just had a big announcement of adding $1.6 billion to the NASA budget, that's good. 5% is good. At the Planetary Society, we've advocated for 5% for a long time, but it's not on the scale of Apollo. And the other problem that has to be solved, you guys, for political reasons, the whole thing is based on the Space Launch System, the SLS, which is a rocket. It's another name for a big rocket being built in Rocket City, Huntsville, Alabama. And it's built there because a lot of rockets were built there over the years. That's where Wernher von Braun lived for a long time. And meanwhile, everybody hears about SpaceX and Blue Origin's, Jeff Bezos' company. They're going to do stuff on their own. But all of the capsules and docking things and hardware and this proposed lunar gateway, and gateway is a whimsical term for another spacecraft that would be in orbit around the moon, the way the International Space Station is in orbit around the Earth. These are all based on this diameter and this system and these electrical connectors associated with the Space Launch System. So you can't just go get hardware. It's not like you go on the internet and get another rocket booster that happens to fit. It's just not like that. So the political problems are very difficult. And then the money. And the proposal was to get the $1.6 billion from Pell grants. Okay. See, the Pell Grant money is set aside. Some of it's not spent. Okay, but you guys, it's as they say, bad optics.
It's an absurd idea to ask for the amount of money it would take to push us to a place like Mars. Do you need somebody who has absurd-like thinking, like a Donald Trump, or somebody who has...
Or Elon Musk. Yeah.
What's it? Or an Elon Musk? Do you need somebody who's crazy to set the sights that far?
Well, or you need just the Chinese Space Administration to decide they're going to the moon.
So we just need competition.
That's what happened last time. Everybody, just keep in mind, when you watch the movie, it was the Cold War. That's why all that stuff got done.
So we just need to get rid of the fact that China landed on the far side of the moon, the dark side of the moon.
It's not really dark.
It's not dark?
Only, it's the far side.
That's not. I listened to a very specific Led Zeppelin album, and
no, I think it was Pink Floyd.
Armageddon. Have you seen Armageddon?
It was Pink Floyd, not Led Zeppelin.
I'm kind of a man who's sticky about his facts, and it was a Led Zeppelin album. Yeah, Led Zeppelin album made it very clear that there's a dark side.
You're sticking to the wrong mirror.
The dark side of the moon.
So the moon is far side of the moon is dark half the month.
Right. That's the first part of the album. What do you think? What do you think of Elon Musk? What do you think of all of the private billionaires trying to get there?
I've had lunch with Elon Musk. I gave him a ride to the airport once. He's not my best friend or anything, but he's a motivated guy.
Wait. You gave him a ride to the airport?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm the head of the planetary side.
I mean,
I travel in this little world.
You're a cool guy. I'm not saying you don't have the legitimacy to do it. I'm saying as a man who owns a car company.
Well, this is before his car company was especially huge.
He's like, I'm working on a car company. Could you give me a ride?
Yeah, that's how it went, man. I took him from a restaurant in Santa Monica, California to LAX. This is a long time ago, but it's a true fact, not a false fact. Not a Conwaysian fact.
He seems like an inspiring guy.
Oh, man. He's
big
a
dreams.
visionary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
he's odd. His relationship to the Securities and Exchange Commission is not one I would not embrace.
Did you give him much advice on the financial end?
No. But I just wouldn't mess with them. No need to mess with them.
When you look at Blue Origin, Richard Branson is playing around in the game, Elon Musk with SpaceX. Are any of those, do you feel, the next step to getting to a place like getting back to the moon or getting to Mars?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. So, you guys, the Falcon rockets are fantastic. The SpaceX rockets are fantastic. So we had an analysis at the Planetary Society that, SpaceX couldn't break even on this reusable booster. You know, this is where the rocket goes up and then lands again, either at Cape Canaveral on a parking lot or on this drone ship, a motorized barge. Not a barge, it's a drone ship. Okay. So, that's a big thing with them. So, in other words, you recover most of the booster. And we said, he'd never break even unless they got to 30 a year. Well, they're kind of getting to 30 a year. And it's just long-term investment, and that vision is just really something. So at the Planetary Society, just if I may remind you, we're going to be launching our second solar sail spacecraft no earlier than, that's NASA talk, NET, no earlier than the 22nd of June, Saturday the 22nd. Come on down. You can sit in the bleachers with me. I know a guy. You can get a seat.
You can get me a seat?
I can get you a seat, and it really is spectacular. It's amazing. There's everything shakes, your hair shakes, your eyes shake, and the thing goes up and it goes over the top, as we say, it turns and goes into orbit. And then these two boosters come down and land like science fiction. It's just amazing. Mm-hmm. And so bear in mind, everybody, that SpaceX is competing with NASA. Not really. NASA buys rockets from SpaceX. And this quotation has been attributed to a couple different people, but I remember it as being Alan Shepard. And if it's not Alan Shepard, I apologize. But he's walking on the moon, and he says, it's good to realize that we came here on hardware built by the lowest bidder. It's just a charming turn of phrase. Along this line, all the money that's spent in space is really spent on Earth. NASA buys rockets from these guys. That's how they stay in business. The Air Force spends a lot of money on rockets. If you're in this world, there are an extraordinary number of rocket launches every month that most of us just aren't aware of. Military, all these communication satellites, weather satellites, and many of them, might even be most of them, are commercial. Most of them are commercial, yeah.
I sat down with Scott Kelly and talked a little bit about the overview effect.
The overview effect. Apparently astronauts get in space and they get wigged out at how beautiful the Earth is, no political boundaries. We're all in this together. Get over it. It's cool.
It's kind of a nice thing. I think when you look at the political landscape right now and hear about that kind of perspective, you yearn for something like that. And it would be pretty fun to go to space.
So I applied to be an astronaut 4 times, but it was a different era. How many PhDs do you have? 100 to 300. It's like, who are you? How many marathons have you run this week? It's just like, who are these guys and gals? They're just overachieving maniacs. More power to them.
And maybe we need those kinds of smart people on Earth to help out as well.
So engineers, renewable electricity, clean water, access to the internet, solve the air transportation problem. Let's go. Let's get her done.
Let's get her done. Also, subscribe to Science Rules.
Science Rules, Stitcher mid-roll, Stitcher mid-roll. Turn it up loud. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you, Bill Nye. If you like listening to this podcast, you're going to like watching it even more. So go check out Klepper. It's on all of your devices, including your television. Go check it out. Thank you for listening.